When I was young, I never felt I was a pretty girl. People suddenly start telling me I was pretty when I was about 15, and I was like, oh, you think so, really?
She had it all: beauty, fame, and a place among the world's top supermodels. Karen Mulder was the supermodel everyone wanted to be, but behind the flawless photos and red carpet smiles was a woman quietly falling apart. What happens when perfection is just a mask and it starts to slip?
The way I started modeling was through the Look of the Year, and it kind of happened by accident because friends sent in pictures to the Look of the Year in Holland, and I never actually thought of being a model, especially 7 years ago. People didn't really.
Karen Mulder wasn't chasing fame. In fact, becoming a model wasn't even on her radar. She was just a regular girl from the Netherlands, living a quiet life. Then one day, everything changed. Without telling her, some friends sent her photo into a modeling contest. Just like that, Karen was thrust into a world she never saw coming. She ended up winning the Look of the Year competition, a huge deal in the fashion world. That win opened doors instantly. She signed with the powerhouse agency Elite Model Management, packed her bags, and moved to Paris, all before most teens have finished high school. It was fast, glamorous, and exciting, but no one knew what that kind of pressure would do to someone so young.
It's like a sparkling in the eyes that, really gives you the cover. That when you look at the big cover and you say, wow, there's really something in this picture. With her, it's just a pro, like a very good actress.
Karen didn't just step into the fashion world, she exploded onto the scene. But before she could even catch her breath, she was gracing the covers of Vogue and Elle, walking for giants like Valentino and Mulder. Her face was everywhere. Designers wanted her. Photographers chased her. She was only a teenager, but she carried herself like a seasoned icon. At just 18, while the world watched her rise, Karen married a French photographer. From the outside, it looked like a picture-perfect life. Love, success, beauty. But behind the camera flashes, things were moving way too fast.
She's never gotten a big head. That's something that I'm really proud of. Because it's so easy, especially when you're young. I think when she started to get really successful, it's probably about 20.
There was something about Karen that couldn't be taught. That icy stare, the delicate features, she was like a blank canvas that every designer wanted to paint on. She had that rare quality the industry called projectable, the kind of beauty that could become anything. But that fantasy came at a price. Behind the calm, elegant presence was a young woman facing relentless pressure. The early call times, the constant travel, the silent expectation to always be perfect. Karen never complained. She stayed poised, professional, unbothered on the surface. But inside, the weight was starting to build, and nobody seemed to notice.
You can be on 10,000 covers, but if they don't know your name, it doesn't. It's what they call us like the top models. They're like the girls that like Christine, Naomi, Claudia.
Karen Mulder was not just a model. She was a full-blown phenomenon. As fashion entered the pop culture lexicon in the 1990s, Karen rose with that tide. It was the golden age of the supermodel, a time when women like Naomi Campbell, Cindy Crawford, and Claudia Schiffer had become more than faces on a runway. They were faces in magazines, commercials, and in nearly every living room across America. Karen was riding that wave, with her icy blonde hair, piercing eyes, and glare that could turn heads and change a room. She became one of the most recognizable faces in the world, featured in high fashion magazines on a regular basis, and walking runways for elite designers at an unprecedented clip. But the thing that distinguishes her most was her groundbreaking affiliation with Victoria's Secret. Prior to Karen, Victoria's Secret was merely a lingerie boutique, and years before the wings were attached to every angel, Karen was one of the first angels who helped propel the brand into the sexy, mainstream glamour powerhouse it became. Fashion was evolving, and Karen was part of that evolution.
Karen Mulder has the marvelous Hollywood glamour look of the great 40s star. She always looks very Betty Grable, slimmed down if you like. She is definitely a Hollywood look about her.
Behind the magazine covers and flashing cameras, Karen Mulder was battling a very different reality. She appeared to have it all, a cold, perfect beauty who was untouchable in the eyes of the world. However, she admitted that she didn't think she was attractive. She spoke softly and vulnerable in interviews, which contrasted with her glamorous persona. She wasn't chasing attention. In fact, she often seemed unsure of why she was even getting it. The fashion world had branded her the Ice Queen, elegant, aloof, mysterious. But that image wasn't her creation. It was a costume stitched together by stylists, editors, and ad campaigns. Beneath it all was a serene, introverted, and deeply insecure individual. Karen was subtly deteriorating as she attempted to strike a balance between the brittle image of herself in the mirror and the glossy perfection of her public persona, while everyone applauded her confidence. And that separation became more apparent the more she was thrust into the spotlight.
Very important.
She's the essence of femininity. She's beautiful, she's nice, she's gentle, she's a divine runway model, she's a beautiful cover girl.
While the fashion world was jumping with roaring parties, flashing cameras, and still more frantic headlines, Karen Mulder was isolated in the storm's eye. She was not drawn into the chaos, not pampered by evenings of champagne, and not dazzled by all the attention that came from being a celebrity. Karen decided to keep silent instead. With grace, without drama or scandal, she arrived, performed her duties perfectly, and then vanished. Unlike many of her colleagues who embraced the celebrity lifestyle, Karen never tried to gain notoriety. Instead, the other way around, the focus came to her. She stayed grounded and focused only on her art in spite of her notoriety, contracts, and magazine covers. She found comfort in intimate connections behind the scenes, particularly with fellow model Carla Bruni. In an industry that rarely offered one, their bond was more than just a fashion connection. It was a lifeline and a sanctuary. To many, Karen seemed distant, enigmatic, and perhaps even cold. The reality, however, was much more straightforward and human. She was defending herself. Karen subtly objected as others played the game. However, when everyone expects you to be loud, attractive, and available all the time, even quiet opposition can have a price.
It's quite funny because backstage, the only time that all the girls stick together is like when there's a photographer taking pictures of a girl that sneaked in and trying to take a picture.
Photographers sneak in backstage?
Well, sometimes they do, and then it's the most amazing.
Karen Mulder started to discreetly back away as the lights remained bright and the cameras continued to flash. She began to feel suffocated by the glamour that had once enchanted her. She was disintegrating behind the scenes, ensnared in a picture that didn't give her any room to move. She left the spotlight for a genuine reason, rather than to reinvent herself. She resorted to music, allowing the lyrics to reflect her pain. She experimented with acting, looking for authenticity in borrowed parts. She craved quiet and roamed through cities by herself, away from the bustle. To the world, it looked like a model exploring new paths, but underneath, it was a woman trying to find the pieces of herself the industry had taken.
For me to see her on a podium being a complete vamp, a complete diva, I was really like, yeah, and everybody's applauding. I'm really proud of her.
On runways and in magazines, Karen Mulder seemed flawless, but it was all a mask. Modeling felt like playing a role, perfect on the outside, empty on the inside. Behind the confident poses, she battled exhaustion and deep self-doubt. Slowly, the spotlight burned her out. Then quietly, she vanished. No headlines, no fanfare.
I'm not a jealous person at all. I'm not. I mean, I try and do my best, and if it works, I'm very happy. If it doesn't, nothing I could do.
In 2001, Karen Mulder sat for what seemed like a simple TV interview, but it took a dark turn. Nervous and somewhat unhinged, she told stories of being drugged, abused, and manipulated by powerful people in fashion. The producers felt her confessions were so shocking and raw, they pulled the interview, deeming it too disturbing and too dangerous to air. Karen Mulder's story is a painful reminder of how even the brightest lights can cast such dark shadows. If you felt like her story did something for you, hit the like button and subscribe for more untold stories.